So last night at 1:30 in the morning, 3 masked men walked into the car park of a synagogue in Golders Green, North London. They poured petrol on ambulances, 4 of them, and they lit them on fire. These were not military vehicles. These were not symbols of any government or any army. These were the ambulances of Hatzalah Northwest, a volunteer Jewish emergency service that has been saving lives in North London since 1979. That's what they do. That's all they do. And what happened here is not just a tragedy, but it's a proof. Proof of something many of us have suspected for a long time, but have been too polite, too careful, too reasonable to say out loud. That the distinction the world has been asking us to make between Jews and Israel, between anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism, between hating the state and hating the people, was never real. It was always a courtesy we extended to people who didn't deserve it. And last night, once again, this time in Golders Green, that courtesy burned along with everything else. But we'll get there. First, what happened? The explosions woke up the neighbourhood. Residents were evacuated, 40 firefighters responded, and by morning 2/3 of Hatzalah's entire fleet was gone. A group calling itself the Islamic Movement of the Companions of the Right has now claimed responsibility. This is not the first time we've heard of them, by the way. In the past 2 weeks alone, they bombed a synagogue in Belgium, they attacked a synagogue in Rotterdam, they set off an explosive at a Jewish school in Amsterdam, and now London. All of it amplified through channels linked to Iranian-backed militia networks. A coordinated transnational campaign against Jewish community infrastructure across Europe. That's what happened last night. This morning, the politicians arrived. Right on cue, Keir Starmer. This is a deeply shocking anti-Semitic arson attack. My thoughts are with the Jewish community. Sadiq Khan. This is a cowardly attack on the Jewish community. Londoners will never be cowed by this kind of hatred and intimidation. This is what we call chutzpah. Not because the words are wrong, the words are fine. That's exactly the problem. Sadiq Khan is the mayor of a city that has hosted 2.5 years of marches through its streets. Marches where people chanted for the destruction of the Jewish state, where hatred of Israel, which, as we'll get into, has always meant hatred of Jews. Israel's the home of the Jewish people, the national home of the Jewish people. Saying that their defense in a just war is genocide is saying they don't have the right to live. But all this hostility to Israel, they dress it up as political expression. Week after week, the protests happened with a permit. The chants were genocidal, and the response from city leadership was effectively carry on. And Keir Starmer leads a party that spent years either indulging or outright harbouring anti-Semitism, that has spent the past 2 years tying itself in knots over whether calling for a ceasefire means you also have to tolerate the targeting of Jewish institutions, and somehow always found a reason not to name the atmosphere being created. You don't get to spend years pouring the petrol and then express shock at the fire. As Melanie Phillips said, this is cynical virtue signalling from people that have fueled anti-Semitism through their lies about Israel, their tolerance of hate marches, and their genuflection to Islamist pressure. The crocodile tears are, frankly, a bit insulting. The city you run, Mayor Khan, is no longer a safe space for Jews. Own that. For years, this game is played. Someone says something vicious about Israel, and then there's the rush to clarify. Well, there's a difference between criticism of Israeli policy and anti-Semitism. They make the distinctions time and again, try to be nuanced, and then they target Jewish ambulances. This is what last night should do, in case it wasn't already clear to you. But we should once and for all say this. Remove all the fog, remove the benefit of the doubt, remove performing reasonableness for an audience that was never reasonable with us. Let's say it once and for all. The argument, I'm against Israel, not the Jews, it's nonsense. It's nonsense. And we have to stop validating it. Where we so often say, yes, of course, there's legitimate criticism of Israel, that's fine. When is it legitimate criticism? It's so rarely. What has Israel been criticised of? that you would consider legitimate? Isn't the vast majority of it, Israel's gone way too far, Israel's going way above and beyond, and there's, international law they're breaking, and it's nonsense. I'm not saying Israel's perfect at all, but they're fighting a just war against all the odds. And you want to be focusing on criticising them? And the proof that it's not criticism, that it's really just the same old Jew hate, once again validated last night. Hatzalah does not run Israel's foreign policy. They're Jews living in London, targeted. Not despite it's not about the Jews crowd, because of the atmosphere that crowd created. So we have to stop this silly game. And for a long time, especially in the diaspora, we've allowed the outside world to chop us up. You can be a Jew religiously, but politically you're just a citizen like anyone else. You can have Jewish culture, but Israel, that's separate, that's political. Keep it over there. Last night showed us what our enemies have always known. We are one thing. You don't get to bomb the synagogue but respect the prayer. You don't get to burn the ambulance but honour the doctor. It's all one. It has always been all one. And that's actually what Judaism has been saying all along. Am Yisrael, the people of Israel, not the citizens of a modern state or the supporters of a particular government, the people. They are seen by all as one soul, one story, one fate. The Talmud teaches that every Jew is responsible for one another. Not some Jews, not the politically convenient Jews, all of us. Bound together whether we choose it or not. And our enemies understand that better than we sometimes allow ourselves to. They didn't go to Golders Green to make a point about settlement policy. They went because it was Jewish. The ambulances were Jewish. The synagogue was Jewish. The neighbourhood was Jewish. That was enough. That's always been enough for them. So maybe it should be enough for us too. And not as a source of fear, as a source of identity. And the way through this is not shrinking. It isn't better PR either. It isn't more carefully worded statements about what we do and don't support. Maybe the world's rage and attention on us, in a twisted way at times, is a demand. A demand for what we're actually supposed to offer. Moral clarity. A light. The classroom is in chaos because the teacher isn't teaching. And the students, however badly they're acting out, are desperate for someone to bring order. To show that life is real and worth living. That's our job. That's always been our job. And the more we've stepped back from it, the more we've tried to blend in, to be palatable, to apologise our way into acceptance, to make distinctions and, there's Israel and there's us and The more we've done that, the louder the chaos has gotten. And if we're all one, if there is no sufficiently distanced Jew, no sufficiently critical Jew, no Jew who has apologised his way to safety, then we are free. Free to stop auditioning for their approval. Free to stop preemptively shrinking. Free to stand with each other without footnotes and asterisks. And I want to be clear, I don't speak for the Israeli government. You want to know who's a Zionist? According to the people who burned those ambulances last night, we all are. Every single one of us. So let's stop pretending otherwise. Let's stop playing a game that was never ours to win. And let's stand together, fully, unapologetically, as one people, the way we always were. And let's do our job. Am Yisrael Chai. Just a moment. Have you ever heard someone say, I've got no problem with Judaism or Jews, it's Israel I've got a problem with? Well, we've just created our most important documentary yet, called Zionism and Judaism, The False Separation. Have a watch of the trailer, and if you want to watch the full thing, just click on the link below in the video description. This one's important. I'm not against Judaism, I'm just against Zionism.
It's not Jewish, it's Zionism.
Yeah. Judaism and Zionism are completely separate.
Judaism is a faith, Israel is a state.
You can be Jewish without being a Zionist.
Zionism and Judaism is totally diametrically opposed.
I'm sure you've heard this before, from protesters, from politicians, from even well-meaning people trying to navigate the Israel-Palestine debate. But I'm here to tell you that this separation is complete nonsense. It's a comfortable lie. The kind of lie that sounds intelligent but collapses the moment you actually open this book, the Torah, the Bible, and study Judaism on its own terms. In this JTV Plus documentary, we're going to tackle this myth head on. We'll actually look inside the Torah and see how in the very first book, Genesis, there's no mention of law or religion. It's all centered on the promise of a specific land to a specific nation. We'll trace how Judaism, not modern politics, but Judaism itself, is structured around one obsessive, relentless, undeniable claim: the land of Israel belongs to the Jews. We'll reveal why the building of a nation in the land of Israel is an indispensable part of the project of Judaism, why Judaism is not a religion, it's the divine project of a nation in a land. We'll discover how the Torah preemptively answered the colonization accusation that wouldn't fully materialize for another 3,000 years. We'll explore why, if the land is so central, Jews had to spend thousands of years in global exile. We'll unpack what Zionism actually means, and how anti-Zionism doesn't just contradict Israeli policy, it contradicts the fundamental architecture of Judaism itself. For some people, this is going to be uncomfortable viewing, but by the end, we'll prove beyond any reasonable doubt that Judaism and Zionism are inseparable. To watch this JTV Plus documentary and access much more premium content, click on the link in the video description.